Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is the place where we help mission-driven messengers just like you learn how to build and monetize your personal brand. My name is Rory Vaden, and I'm the co-founder of Brand Builders Group, a Hall of Fame speaker, and New York Times best-selling author. And this show is to help experts learn how to become more wealthy and well-known. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. I have an exciting announcement to make. The man you're about to meet, Markus Kaulius, is not only a friend, not only a Brand Builders Group client, but today, this morning, we found out that his book, Play a Bigger Game, is officially a USA Today national best-selling book. We just found out early this morning. And we met Markus a year ago. I don't know, over a year ago. We're going to talk about that here. And we had no idea when we scheduled this interview that we would do the interview on the day that we would find out that the vision and the dream that he once had when he became a client would actually come true on the same day. So let me tell you the rest of his story a little bit, or tell you his bio, and then you'll get to meet him. So he's a serial entrepreneur. And one of the things I love about Markus is he has built multiple 8- and 9-figure businesses. So he's a real entrepreneur. He has a supplement company that he took from startup to $170 million, which I want to know about. That is so impressive and inspiring to me. He helped people worldwide lose like a cumulative 3 million pounds, which is really cool. He's been featured in Fox News, on Apple TV, CNN. He's a Guinness World Record book holder. He's got several 100,000 people who follow him online. And then as of today, he's Canadian, who is a USA Today national best-selling author. So Markus, congratulations, brother. We're so excited to celebrate with you. Welcome to the show, man.
Oh, Rory, what an intro. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everything you and Brand Builders are doing, man. It is awesome. You already know how much I love you guys. And now to put me on that list, it's just crazy. It is absolutely surreal. If anybody is watching this podcast, listening to this podcast, and I seem a little nuts at times, just know I'm riding a bit of a high. And but oh man, I'm excited also just to have a conversation with you, man.
Yeah. So when did you, is this apropos the timing of this? So when did you first hear about Brand Builders Group? And, you started this journey of like building the personal brand, and then the book, and then meet us. And then like, here we are, like, hitting a really great highlight moment in your career. So like, tell me the story of how you found us and all of that.
I remembered this story this morning because I think I've only given you glimpses of it, but what a God-led moment. I was writing my book, and I am not somebody, by the way, as people get to know me, you're going to find out, like, I'm not a guy who's like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. I felt called to write this book. And God just really wrote through me, and he put this book together. And as I'm getting towards the end, I start going, oh God, like I don't know any publishers, I don't know any agents, I know nothing about nothing over here.
Mm.
I was going into deep prayer. I'm like, Lord, I need you to step in. Like, you told me to write this, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, you just want me to pick up the phone 100 times? I'll do it. You know I will. That day that I was deep in that prayer, a Christian buddy of mine who we don't even connect that often, he reaches out and he goes, hey, do you know who Rory Vaden is? And I think you're writing your book right now. You need to meet Rory, Christian guy. And just, he gives me this resume, and I'm like, are you serious right now? And I'm looking up like, God, you are awesome. And boom, texts go back and forth. You and I are connected that day. And you sent me this beautiful text, and then you sent me the links to podcasts you've been on with Ed Milet and Lewis House. And I'm watching these. And by the way, Rory, those were works of art. They were stunning. Like everything, like you couldn't have scripted it better for how those went. And I was like, any good God-given moment where it's just like my screen was lit up in a special way. I'm like, oh, this is the guy. This is the
Mm.
guy who I am supposed to work with. And from day one, I loved who you've put together. You have an amazing team. I love you and AJ. I love your marriage. I love the way you guys treat each other, the way you talk about each other. And then, of course, I love how niche you guys are. You guys have figured out this system in this lane, and you stick to your lane, and you guys kill it in your lane. And I think I'm a great example of that because, again, people listening, I am not some like, of course I got a best-selling book. Of course. No, I'm a guy who had no business writing a book. And I wrote this book and then I put it in the hands of BBG. I just followed the plan. I followed the plan. I said, you know what? I trust these guys. They know what they're doing, and look at what the results are. And the results speak for themselves.
When,
But
so
thank
when was that? When was it like was it like a year ago that
you.
we first, it was like a year ago, right? Man, I love how God moves like that and just go like, you know, and also it's such an example of a story where it's like God will show you the second step after you take the first step. And it's like you go, "Hey, I feel prompted to write this book, but I don't know what to do with it." But it's like, "Well, write the book and then I'll show you," right? Like write the book and then I'll open the door. And I think that's a really big part of how God moves is like, I'll show you the second step. You know, I think about like the story of Moses, right? And God never said, you know, here's how you're gonna move through the desert. He just said, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Like, doesn't explain how, doesn't explain like what's gonna happen. Just like go do this. So I love that. The other
Sorry,
thing, brother. Oh, go
let me
ahead.
jump in real quick because I love what you just said, and I so agree with you. But I also see this is one of the biggest issues with humanity today.
Mm,
We go, okay, I know this first step I'm supposed to take, whether God gave it to me or not. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not going to move until I know the next 10 steps. And I think that's what just freezes people. And that's why so many people get so stuck where they are. They're like, well, I know I should do this, but I want to know exactly what's coming. I think the most successful people and the people who get really good results in life, and this is a great example of it today, is I knew only the first step in front of me. And God only lit up this one step. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I don't need to know what's next. I have enough faith and have enough trust. And again, you don't have to have God for this part, although it's really good if you do. But it's in humanity. Just take some steps. If you know you're supposed to go there, once you're there, you're going to see a different view. There's going to be a whole different perspective. New opportunities will open up for you. You're going to meet new people on that next step. So had I never taken that step,
mm,
and my buddy reaches out to me and goes, hey, aren't you writing a book? My answer, oh, no. Okay. End of story. Yes. In
right.
fact, I'm getting close to the end and I don't know what to do. You need to meet Rory. Unbelievable.
Totally different outcome. Yeah, I mean that such a great example. So I want to hear about the company because you know I mean we love personal brands. Clearly, this is what we do. But we also are entrepreneurs, and you know we think of like real entrepreneurs as like people who like built a widget, a product or system that's not like based on them as an individual. And you've done that. And I want to hear, was that a similar kind of thing? Was it like, "Oh my gosh, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I'll just take the first step and then see what happens after that." And then did you guys grow all the way to $170 million a year in revenue?
Well, I won't get too deep into, okay, let's jump right in. Let's start with this. Yes, it was another situation of I know the first step. And it
Okay.
was January 17th of 2005. God spoke to me and said, I want you to have your own brand. I was already selling supplements. I had 3 supplement stores at the time. And we can rewind further. And I went from tiny business to a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And then it was this moment, and God said, I want you to have your own brand. And of course, I don't know, holy smokes. I probably didn't know 1% of 1% of 1% of what I needed to know, but I knew enough to take the first step. And I started to create my own supplements.
Hmm.
And as a Christian man who had really devoted his life to God, saying, God, I won't make decisions without you. I won't make moves without you because I don't want to do that ever again. And I know the peace that comes with having God on your team. I mean, that's the best business partner there is. And we just made little steps, little steps. I'm not the Instagram business that, oh my goodness, I was doing a million after 2 weeks. And if you're not doing it this way, you're doing it wrong. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, man. I was eating craft dinner for years into this. And my wife and I love talking about this. You know, the first 5 years at Magnum, 5 years, I didn't take a salary. I
Hmm.
just, we were doing well. Like by the fifth year, we were in the millions, but I knew where I wanted it to go and where God had shown me where it was going to go. And I knew that if I started pulling money too early, if I started driving a Ferrari or a Range Rover too early, it was all going to crash down. So I just kept moving in faith and taking those steps forward. And he kept opening doors. And last year, we were in over 100 countries worldwide. I've
Wow.
learned so much over the almost 20 years that I ran that business. And then God called me one day and said, now I want you to sell it. And then he sold it. He sent a buyer for me, and I got to have this unbelievable, every entrepreneur's dream situation. I got to exit my business.
Hmm.
And what he actually said to me in a car ride home one time is a whole new chapter in your life is about to start. And of course, God, and with his phenomenal sense of humor as well, he's also talking about the fact that there's the chapter and verse. And now I get to invest in other companies. I get to invest in other entrepreneurs. I get to just figure out what he's got planned for me next. And I am absolutely loving this journey.
That's really cool, man. Can you just like that road, I think, is so important for entrepreneurs to know because it's like, you see someone, you see all the people with the Ferraris and the private jets or whatever. I think it's like entrepreneurship is so glamorized today. And it's just like the reality, though, is like it is a massive grind for at least like 5 years. And then I think you feel like you're failing if you're not like, living this up. And it's like, that's not the story. I mean, that's how it ends, maybe for a very small few. So, how many years did it take you to get to seven figures and then to eight figures and then to nine figures? Like, just roughly, like, do you kind of remember what the arc, because you said it was like 20 years between when you started it and you sold it. So we know it like basically went from like 0 to 170 in 20 years, right?
Yep.
Okay. So,
Uh, I grew anywhere from 22% to 56% per year, year over year.
okay.
And, you know, the funny stuff that, like you talked about, you always see is the stuff on social media, the stuff that's never talked about. Do you know what was the most uncomfortable year? The 56% growth. It was
Mhm.
nuts. Like the amount, and we were an inventory business. So it's so different for someone who doesn't carry inventory. But when you're an inventory business, 56% growth means I had to have like almost double the inventory. It was nuts. But here's one of the other things I want to say about something you just said, and I love that you're bringing this up. I think there's so many people, especially when we see social media and we're trying to copy what we think we're seeing as if
Mhm.
it's all real, and we get so tied to the outcome. And this is such a dangerous thing for entrepreneurs who are watching this stuff and going, well, I'm not going to be successful until I'm driving the Ferrari, I'm on the private jet, I'm this and this and this. So I'd love to give just a little bit of the other side of this coin. Number one, if you get too tied to the outcome and you think that that's success, I want to also mention to you everyone who I've ever met who achieved that stuff, everyone I've met was grossly unfulfilled,
Mm.
like horrendously, like some of the most unhappy people, especially backed with the fact that I'm supposed to be living my dream. I thought this was my dream. If this isn't my dream, what is life all about? And that, what a horrifying reality. So my encouragement to everybody who is an entrepreneur is enjoy the journey. Find ways to enjoy the journey. Don't just tie it to an end result. Enjoy the journey because it is likely going to take you way longer than you think it will. Yes, social media goes, yeah, if you're not super successful in 3 years, you've blown it. I don't know if I've actually met a human being, and I've met a lot of very successful people who became radically successful in 3 years.
Yeah. And I would echo that. I mean, when you say grossly unfulfilling, my friend network of people who have sold companies, many of them are not just unfulfilled, they go into a stark depression. It's like you've spent your whole life working, you achieve this thing, the high lasts, a few weeks, and then it's like, wait, this is supposed to be the pinnacle, and what is it? And that's a really, it's hard to explain, right? Because it's like, I remember growing up poor, and people would say, money doesn't buy happiness, and I remember thinking like, well, try me. Like, I'd like to try it. I'd like to just see if that's right. But then it really is true. So enjoying the journey, I think, is a really big part. And the other thing about that, enjoying the journey, is like, I think there's an element of truth to the hustle and the grind. Like, I don't know someone who's built a successful company that didn't have some level of sacrifice, for a season. But I think it's also risky to say, man, I'm going to do nothing for 10 or, for 20 years of my life other than work, because you go, at the end, even if it does pay off, and a lot of times it doesn't, have the huge payday. But even if it does, you look back and you go, well, that wasn't worth losing 20 years of seeing my kids or seeing the world, or getting in shape, losing my fit and my health or whatever. So that's awesome to have your insight on that.
Oh, thank you, brother. And you know what? You're so right. And I work with a lot of guys these days who've had exits. And you're absolutely right, man. The amount of depression and just loss of identity, because we tie our
Mm,
identity up so much in our business. Like, yeah, Marcus was the Magnum guy. I was so blessed because I was called to leave it. I was called to sell it. So I didn't have to struggle with that piece. But man, did I have my eyes open going, oh, yeah, this was a moment, this moment right here. Like, I'll never forget having to pack up my nice, big, beautiful office. I mean, I had this thing designed for me. It had all the beauty, all the beautiful desk and the this and that. I had a slide that left my office and went into, it was a secret slide against a secret wall. It was so cool. I had to pack it up one day to give it to the new owner. And I had to move into the tiny office next door. And I'm sitting there going, this is a moment. This is a moment where most men or women who sell the business are going to go, what have I done? What have I
mm.
done? I can go in the small office. I'm not the small office guy. I'm the big office guy. And even more so, we think, and I think this happens to us when we're really young, we've got this idea, well, okay, if you sell your business, then I'm just going to get to golf every day, and I'm going to take my time at the gym, and I'm going to do this. And it's like, do you know how insane you will go doing nothing every day? It
Mm.
does not work like that. Like, I love golf, and I'm already tired of going golfing. Not even that I spent too much time on the course once I retired, but that idea of retirement is not what we think it is. I think the idea of retirement is for non-entrepreneurs. I get it. Like, if you're punching a clock for 40 years, it's like anything but punching the clock and I'll be happy. And I see that. But for an entrepreneur who actually puts their heart and soul into something and uses their mind and their energy every single day, and then to go from that to just like, okay, I'm going to swing a club for a few hours every day. Oh man, that it's not what you think it is. So
Mm.
again, enjoying the journey will help you realize what you're really all about, and you'll develop relationships. You'll keep growing, and I think growth is a huge part of enjoying your journey.
Yeah, I
And
want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about that, because that's another thing that, just year after year after year, this amazes me. When I first heard about personal development and going to conferences and seminars and getting coaching, I remember so many people going, that's such a waste of time. Those are people taking advantage of weak people who are desperate, who, just, they're needy people. And but yet I would read a book and I was like, that's not at all what this is. This is amazing. This is, and now I become more and more convicted that it's like every time it's not the desperate, needy people who are at the personal development conferences and in the coaching programs. It's the people like you. It's the go-getters. It's the world changers. It's the mission-driven messengers. It's the people that you go like, of all the people you wouldn't think would join Brand Builders Group and say, I just sold a company for a $170 million company, and now I'm going to go pay somebody else to be in their coaching program. And yet it's always that way. It's like, and I know you were in Tony Robbins Platinum thing. So tell me a little bit about your philosophy on growth and personal development, because it's like, you seem to very much be a product of that, and someone who's really bought into that, for not just Brand Builders Group, but lots of people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love where you're leading this, by the way. So my life is one of these timelines where it's all about the personal growth. Uh, I also, like you, grew up really poor. And the first 15 years of my life, I was so stuck in that mindset and like, I'm not going to make anything. I can't, because of where I come from, because of what I've already experienced. No chance for me.
Hmm.
So blessed. I got Tony Robbins cassette tapes when I was 15 years old, and there was just something about the way that guy spoke. It might be his Tony Robbins big voice, but like yes, yes, and just moving a little bit on my growth, just even a little bit. If you grow 1% each day, you won't believe how good you feel, because it's like, I'm doing something about it. I'm in control. You're taking control of your life. And if you do it for a long enough time, you're going to recognize that everything in your life changed. And when you talk about these conferences, you talk about being in these rooms and who are in these rooms. At the very basic, just think about, if you surround yourself with a whole bunch of go-getters who are doing big things, who have already achieved big things, of course, that's going to have a massive impact on you. It's going to change how you view success, what you think you are capable of. And you listen to these stories and you talk with guys like Rory, and you're like, wait, you grew up poor? I thought because I grew up poor, I couldn't do anything. And it's like, well, who told you that? Those are limiting beliefs. And soon you just break down these limiting beliefs. And it's amazing how many we have. It's amazing how many things we set in stone in our minds when we're
Totally.
6, 7, 8 years old. And when you peel them back, it's like, oh my goodness, that's not even remotely true. But my 7-year-old self, who's still in there, said, no, 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 no. Hey, you can't do that because of this. Man, it is wild. And then essentially you're taking control of your life. You have the reins of your life. Isn't that exciting? And by the way, any Christians listening to this, because I know there's a lot of Christians listening to this, remember, you have God inside you. You are a co-creator of your life. You're a co-author of your life. God did not create you with all the blessings he's given you, all the talents he's given you, to live some crappy life on the couch. If you do, he has mercy for you. I have mercy for you. He still loves you. It's not about that. But he's going, what do you want to do? You can do anything.
Yeah, that's an inspiring thought, and I think it's easy to lose sight of that as Christians. It was just like, literally, the Holy Spirit dwells in us, going, the creator of the universe and all of its magnitude and power is like inside of you to do exactly that. It's very easy to overlook that. It's very easy to take that for granted, and you know, and to underestimate what's possible. Like, it's so easy to underestimate what's possible. Um, I've been talking a lot to our team at BBG, right? So we hit 8 figures last year, was our 5th year in the business, and it's like,
Congratulations,
uh,
brother.
thank you. But like, when AJ and I started BBG, coming out of the former company, our vision was 1,000 messengers. We are like, one day we're going to get to 1,000 messengers, 1,000 personal brands that we know in a meaningful way. We're serving in like in an intimate relationship. And we thought, well, gosh, if we had 1,000 people at $1,000 a month, that'd be 1.2 million a month. That'd be 8-figure business. That was like our 30-year, like in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's like our 20-year, 30-year vision. And it's like, God made it happen in 5 years. And now you go, whoa, like if we could go from 0 to that in 5 years, what could we do between year 5 and 10 or 5 and 20? And it's like, I don't even want to put it's like I almost even want to put a goal around it, because I'm like, man, if you apply that same or just the same order of magnitude to what happened, go like God can multiply. I mean, he's the multiplier. Like it's not hard for him to multiply things. He just needs a willing vessel who wants to participate and co-create in it, and then go like, look what I will do through you, as long as you're willing to invite me in, and as long as you're willing to like share in the credit with me. Like, I just go, it's so magnificent, easy to overlook.
Oh, so good. And Rory, by the way, I so see this in you and AJ. And that's one of the reasons I'm so drawn to you guys. And I love you guys. I love what you're doing. And I'm so excited to watch what happens for the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm going to be on that sideline cheering you guys on, and on the bench whenever you want to call me in, I'll be going in. But I think one of the key things that I want to bring up here is this is where a lot of entrepreneurs mess up, and
Mm,
even Christian entrepreneurs, you
mm,
get to a certain level of success. And maybe it's a level of success that you're like, I don't know how I got here. I'm shocked. But then we start going, well, I am pretty awesome. And, I do deserve
yeah.
this, and this. And what happens, and you just said it, which I love how you said it, even if you just applied the same principles, the same standards, and just kept doing the same thing, you will grow incredible. But we don't even do that. We take our foot off the gas. We stop doing all the things that made us successful. And like you said, and I totally agree with you, you stop involving God. You stop going, well, let me tell you why like, that's why I'm here. That's the only reason I have this book. That's the only reason anything you call success in my life is 100% him. If you see anything negative or embarrassing, oh, that's Markus. I'll take credit for that stuff. Everything else is him. So if I remove him from the equation, all I have left is the embarrassment. And I am confident I'll go to zero pretty quick, and I'll be like, how did that happen? Oh, I'll tell you exactly. So that's my encouragement to any entrepreneur who reaches any level of success. There's not a specific number, because it has to do with what you believe that number is, where you are shocked that you got there. It could be 1 million, it could be 10 million, it could be 100 million. And then you just go, I made it. It's over. I did this. This is incredible. I don't need to even do whatever I was doing. And everything starts to change for the negative.
Yeah, man. I don't. That's like a great fear that I have. Is like I never want to be there. I never want to have that level of success that it would cause me to do it. Which it's not a level of success. It's a heart change, right? And so you just go, like I think it's Colossians 3:23, which is like, do everything unto the Lord. And I I remember thinking about one time, well, how do I know if I'm doing it for God or if I'm doing it for me?
Mm.
'Cause either way, it looks the same, right? It's like, either way, I wanna make it successful, which means I need to work hard, I need to make sacrifices, I need to pay a price, I need to learn, I need to study, I need to optimize, I need to use data, I need to build a team. Whether it's for me or God, it's like, in order for it to be good, like, I have to do the same activities either way. And then I guess I felt like God saying to me, "The only way you know is to wake up every day and to dedicate it to me, and to wake up every day and to just keep giving it to me." And it really is a matter of an intention of just being like, "Okay, this is yours," because the behaviors are the same, the intentions are what's different. Um, and hopefully that never changes. And I think it can change that, and that's why I think, frankly, there's so much conversation in the Bible about money and the risks of money and the danger of money. It's not that rich people are evil, it's that rich people can reach a point where they start to become less dependent on God because their worldly needs are met, and that is what opens the door for evil to kind of like come into their life. David was very wealthy, Solomon was very wealthy, Jeremiah was very wealthy. Like, there's a lot of very wealthy people in scripture, but it's never a it's never a self-reliance, it's always a God reliance. So anyways, it's powerful to see that happen. So, um, just real quick, so I know we're wrapping up, but I want to remind everybody. So the book is called Play a Bigger Game, which I love, right? You could see Marcus has been playing a bigger game. He's got strategies for stepping into this. The book is 7 principles, 7 universal principles to experience true fulfillment, which is what we're talking about, and how to really, really win at life. Um, First of all, Marcus, where do you want people to go to get copies of the book if they want to like read more about this and what you have to share?
They can go anywhere great books are sold. Go to Amazon, go to Barnes and Noble, go to any of those great places.
Don't
Um,
go to anywhere where crappy books are sold. That's you won't find this one. If they sell crappy books, they won't have they won't have this one.
and I want to encourage you, everybody, if you're going to grab a copy of my book, and the Audible is coming out any day right now, which I was really excited to do because I love that stuff. But I want to tell you this: you must take action. Don't just read the book. And one of the great things I love about what God gave me to put in this book, constant challenges and advanced challenges, because you have to put the book down and actually do something with it. We can consume every book on the planet, and if we do nothing with it, nothing will change. But if you take action, you can actually start to see your life change right away. It's just perspective shifts. You just look at things differently. And so that's what my book is all about. And I would love to hear if you read my book, if you listen to the audiobook, will you reach out to me? Tell me what was your takeaway. I would love to hear that. I will personally respond because I love hearing that from people. It's my favorite thing to get messages from people I do not know from wherever in the world. And they're telling me they read their book and this was the impact it made. That would light me up.
Yeah, man, I love it, and I love seeing a Christian entrepreneur that's had the level of success that you've had, who has not at all lost their reliance on God, but only leaned more into God. That's inspiring to me and something I think worth aspiring to. And also, I mean, you're still growing and still doing personal development and still like, I mean, I just I love your zest for life and your zest for the Lord and your zest for service. And I think that really comes through in this book and the movement and all the things you are. So we're so proud to, be a small part of your success story and this book and everything that's going on. And you represent very much the things that we want to be associated with. And I think, so many times people hear Brand Builders Group and they think, oh, Lewis Howes and Eric Thomas and Ed Milet and Amy Porterfield and all these amazing people, which is great. We love them too, but it's like I think people maybe don't realize how much there's a whole monster future generation of inspirers and thought leaders and messengers who are like literally rising up, and you're in that group, and we're so honored to be a part of that, brother. So keep it going, keep serving, and we wish you all the best.
Rory, thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for the beautiful company you guys are running and for being so obedient the way you are. I love you guys and God bless you, man.
God bless you, brother.